Happy December and welcome to the final episode of Here and There for 2023. Feels like the year has flown by again this year. On today's episode, Stephanie Brazil joins us as always to bring details on the December issue of 501 Life magazine. We'll also dedicate the rest of the episode to a look back at some of our memorable interviews from this year. That's all coming up on Here and There.
You've arrived at your destination.
Welcome back. Here and There continues now. Our friend Stephanie Brazil is with us to talk about the December issue of 501 Life magazine. It's Essential Arkansas Christmas, and yes, it is, Stephanie Brazil. It is Essential Arkansas Christmas. Talk about this issue that's out.
I'm really excited about this issue because we have 7 trees from around the region, a couple of them from here in Faulkner County, as well as several homes that our photographer has gone inside and taken so many photos so people can really tour them with us. Yeah. And we have trees that are high-end and glamorous and huge. Some are flocked, some are on trend. So if you're looking at what's popular this year, you can see that in the magazine. Then we have trees that are kind of arts and crafts style and sentimental trees and trees with antique items. So I think we have something for everybody.
Let's talk about other collections. The Nutcracker collection that Pat Qualls has. What is all that about?
Yeah, Pat Qualls is a former choral instructor. She plays the piano and the harp. And so it makes sense that she loves Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker Suite ballet that's so popular at Christmas. Oh, yeah. And she has a collection of more than 100 nutcrackers in her home here in Conway. About 28 of those are Steinbach nutcrackers. I learned from reading this article. They are from Germany, hand-carved in Germany. But then she has a lot of them that she just picked up at local stores or florists, and she loves them all. So Pat has displayed those. Our photographer, you'll get to see all of them. Some are really unique. And then she invites people into her home and their kids during this season to share the joy.
Very nice, very nice. The Festival of the Nativities on December 10th is going to be presented by Grace Presbyterian Church.
That's right. I'd never heard of this before. I love the concept. They invite their church members, and people from the community can also bring their nativity sets out on December 9th. They display them. They'll have more than 100 on display. Then on Sunday, December 10th, starting at 3 o'clock, anyone can come in at no cost and view all of those. But from 5 to 7, there's a chili supper, and they ask for a donation of $7. You can give more. And they give all those proceeds to Conway Cradle Care. Now, this is a program that is housed within First Presbyterian Church next to the high school. Right. And so they take care of the infants of young women who are still needing to complete their education, so teenage moms, and make sure that they have reliable care for their kids.
So that's December 10th. If you're watching this after December 10th, definitely opportunities for you to help with cradle care too.
Yes.
So look into that. So very, very good. We're talking lots of churches, which I love. So First United Methodist Church is right down the road from a home that we want to send people to. That's got a beautiful Christmas display that I know I've gotten used to seeing every year.
I know. I love it. You know, we're going to park in front of this home and watch the entire show. You get to tune your radio to a certain station. And a lot of people know this home from Halloween. Yes. They may not know that Jeremy and Emily Walter also do this at Christmas. And so 2 years ago, he found out that he could purchase at an affordable price the same type of technology that Disney uses, and he programmed in their favorite movies. And so you sit there and watch this go for, I would say, 15 minutes. And they have a 3-story home. It's a historic home there. And it's a flat front, so it's a perfect backdrop. They also have a great sun porch on the side that they decorate. So we just want to steer everybody to a great light display.
Nice, that'll be great. You feature the home of Denise and Steve Hurd in the Historic District. What are we going to find when we go see their home?
It's a 110-year-old American 4-square home. He says it's the only one in Conway. And they love to use antiques and family sentimental items in their decorating. It's a lovely home to see, 3 chandeliers that are original to the home. And Denise says if you bring out something red and sparkly and tie some ribbon on it, it's festive. So she's going to tie ornaments to houseplants that are sturdy enough to handle that, chandeliers, and just uses lighting throughout the home, and it's lovely.
Yeah, very nice. Something that we all have to be aware of is how much electricity that we use any time of year, but especially this time of year. And we've got an article, Conway Corp does, the issue about that.
Yes, I appreciated Beth Jimerson for bringing that to us. A lot of winterization tips that are as simple as turning your ceiling fans the other direction and checking your filters and winterizing your AC and all of these things that we all know we need to do, but we don't think about doing. So she's given us a nice list.
It's easy to get busy and forget to do a lot of those things too. So yeah, you'll find that in the magazine. And then the event section, this time of year, the event section is always full of things for families to do.
We have a page and a half of events from Conway and Faulkner County and then throughout the region of things that people can check out and make sure they don't miss.
We're always looking for a road trip to go see some lights wherever they may be in the region. So make a road trip out of 501 and see those. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Thank you for being with us every month, and we'll see you in January.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Express yourself with beautiful custom jewelry from Brooks Fine Jewelry.
Come on down to Brooks Fine Jewelry and take a look at some of the new products that we offer. We have a new extensive line of men's watches, and we invite all those watch crazies out there that want to come in and take a look. They're here for you to look at and try on. As a full-service jewelry store, we offer hand engraving and laser engraving for just about anything you can imagine. So come on down to Brooks Fine Jewelry and visit with us. We look forward to seeing you.
Brooks Fine Jewelry, your jewelry makers in downtown Conway.
In February, we celebrated Black History Month, and we're joined by Brian Massie, who in 2018 became the first Black chair of the Art and Design Department at UCA. I asked him what sparked the interest in art for him.
Well, originally I wanted to be an illustrator for Hallmark.
Okay.
And so I pursued the career of graphic design, illustration, and thought that's the path I was going to take. But one day I was on campus at East Carolina doing summer school, heard this commotion going on. Okay. So I peeked around the wall, and there was this little gentleman about 5'1" with a goatee, with white hair, and he and some students were struggling with this stone that was on the truck. I found out the cable had snapped. They didn't want it to fall and break. So I said, you guys need some help? They said, yeah. So I was playing football at East Carolina at the time, so I put my shoulder underneath it and I nudged it back on the truck. They're like, man, you're strong. He said, I need some sculpture guys in my area that are strong. He said, why don't you take some of my classes? I was like, okay. So I took a couple of survey classes the following fall, and the rest is history.
So from wanting to design greeting cards to working with stone.
That's a big move.
It is a big move.
I went from a pen and paper to hammer and chisel. Yeah. And I found the work very invigorating, challenging, and that's what I liked.
Are you able to take a block of stone and you see the finished product, or does it take shape as you are working on it?
I see the finished product. I see it gallery ready. I see it in the gallery with the lights on the pedestal, and I take the process of chiseling away the stone that doesn't belong, as they say.
Okay. Is that a hard thing to teach? Do you try to teach it that way?
I do teach it that way.
Okay.
I try to get students to work from ideas and concepts in the sketchbooks to working up a clay maquette and a model so they can work with that. That allows me to help them see the stone so they don't carve out too much off the front or the back. Make sure they have enough stone left to carve it.
Because you can't go backwards.
Can't go backwards. I always have a plan B. Sometimes stones will break and crack, but you don't want them to break and crack. Yeah. And so I always have a plan B. How will I fix this? How will I make it work? So a lot of times I'll cut it and then put another stone in there, make it separate, and then make it 2 different stones in one piece.
Where does the stone come from? I mean, is there a place in the country, in the world, that's got better stone than others?
Well, all the Indiana limestone comes out of Indiana, out of that state. The alabaster I use comes out of Colorado. Okay. The soapstone comes out of Charlottesville, Virginia. The marble granite comes out of Georgia.
A little bit everywhere.
A little bit everywhere.
A little bit everywhere. Did you ever see yourself as a chair of the art and
I
design
did not.
department? Yeah.
1, because I'm not a politician. Okay. 2, I'm not a yes man. And when I accepted the position, I turned them down 3 times.
Did you?
And I told them, I said, listen, this is what you're getting. I'm not going to be in a shirt and tie every day. I'm going to be on a working tie because I'm a working chair. And if you want to know something, I'm going to tell you the truth. If it gets me in trouble or you in trouble, I'm going to tell you the truth about things. And I've had 2 different deans at this time, and both things came to me and said, Brian, we not had one person come to complain about you the entire time you've been chair. Because I try to treat everybody fair.
Yeah.
And I say what I mean what I say.
So there's obviously always construction going on at UCA, and going down Donaghy right now, we're seeing this new big art building. Is that where?
That's where we are.
Okay.
There's still some learning things in the building. Things
Sure.
haven't been quite fixed yet or operational, but it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
I'm in my 35th year. We're in a facility now that's going to give us a cutting-edge programming in our department. Students are interested. Students are coming in, and it's been very challenging, but yet it's been very profitable for the university.
Any football bears come through your classes over the
There
years?
was a few. I have a couple in my class now that
Okay.
are taking the class. But yeah, I've had quite a few
Yeah.
to come through.
That's probably a unique connection
It
that
is.
you've got with
And
them.
what I try to do, if I know I got an athlete in my class, I try to support them, whatever sport they're playing. And if there's a game going on, I try to go to the game and watch them.
It was great to visit with Brian, and we appreciate him sharing his time and talents with Conway. Also on that February episode, we visited with Adena White. She is co-host of the podcast Black Belt Voices, a podcast that started locally that has taken off nationally. She's the founder and chief storyteller for Black Belt Media. And I asked her what exactly that title means.
Yes, that's a title I gave myself.
Oh, good.
I saw another public relations practitioner who went out on her own, gave herself that title.
Yeah.
And so I really like the sound of it because I don't have any staff, so being a chief executive officer sounded a little, presumptuous for someone with no staff. So yeah, I thought storytelling is kind of what I do, so I just came up with that.
And our paths crossed years ago in a
Yes.
previous life that I had in radio, and then moved into a role of public relations, and so realized that really what I did there, what we do in PR, what we do here is
It
storytelling.
really is, yes.
It's
Yes.
such an important part of what that means. And so let's talk about the new world of storytelling. Podcasts
Yes.
is obviously something that's gotten very popular. Tell me about how this whole idea of your podcast came about.
Yeah. When I first, I write mostly, so my first thought when I wanted to talk about Black Southerners and Black Southern culture was to write a blog. And I wrote one story. It was really long. We have the attention span of a goldfish now. So I'm like, no one's going to read this. And I knew a podcast would be the best way to get it out there, but I'm not really, I'm not you. I'm not a radio, I don't have that background. So anyway, I pulled along my co-host, Kara Wilkins, who's just very energetic to be a co-host. My sister Katrina has a background in broadcast journalism. Okay. She helps produce it. That's along with her husband, Prentice, who is a musician, so he helps put it together. Okay. So I think it was just the best way to tell these stories that we wanted to tell. Yeah. Besides just writing big long features about everybody. Yeah.
So part of what we're doing this month is celebrating Black History Month, and on your podcasts and just in your website in general, that's where the stories lie. Was that a space that wasn't being filled in the podcast world?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of podcasts and magazines and blogs about Black culture in general. Yeah. And there's Blavity, there's For Harriet about Black women, and there's stuff about Southerners. But I felt like in the space of Black Southerners, that was missing back in 2017 when we came up with it. Yeah. So I felt like it was filling that little gap. Yeah. About Black Southern storytelling.
How has it been received? Obviously, in a way that you probably never imagined, or maybe you did imagine.
I did not. We launched in 2019, September 2019, and in January of 2020, Apple Podcasts featured us. Yeah. And then, of course, in December of 2020, after the murder of George Floyd, we got more attention from Apple. That led to Oprah Daily picking it up on podcasts to make you smarter, and also Vanity Fair on Black History podcast. So that was we did not expect that at all. So that was a shock. So.
You didn't go into it hoping you'd cross the desk of Oprah.
Right, exactly.
That is exciting though.
Yeah.
It's why we don't do what we do for the accolades. But gosh, when they come, you feel like there's some confirmation there.
Yeah, you really do. And it has some imposter syndrome crept up, like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I got nervous about it, but it was I don't know, it was a good feeling, like let's just keep making it better.
Yeah.
So.
Let's talk about one of the segments on the podcast is the Turn to Your Neighbor. Turn to your neighbor. And I love these stories. Where did that idea come from?
Yeah, Katrina actually came up with that idea because we grew up in the black church, and a lot of preachers always say, turn to your neighbor and say neighbor, and have you repeat the phrase. So with Black Belt, because as we talked about, it's kind of bigger than a podcast, my mission is storytelling for social change. So I was getting to where I wanted to tell the stories from like thought leaders and on racial equity and social justice, but then you kind of leave out the people, the everyday people that kind of sparked the idea.
Yeah.
So Turn to Your Neighbor allows us to talk to people who are just like us, just our neighbors and people who are doing cool things in their communities who may not be experts on racial equity and social justice.
Right.
So
what do you see 5 years from now? What's the future of not only the podcast, but just Black Belt Media in general?
Yeah, I'm hoping to continue the podcast. Right now we're on a hiatus, haven't done much lately, but maybe eventually getting to where we can travel to places, maybe during the summer and talk to people in person. Continuing with like public relations consulting for cause-driven organizations across the South, and maybe more speaking engagements and maybe trainings and maybe an anthology type book about people's stories. So we'll see.
Express yourself with beautiful custom jewelry from Brooks Fine Jewelry.
Come on down to Brooks Fine Jewelry and take a look at some of the new products that we offer. We have a new extensive line of men's watches, and we invite all those watch crazies out there that want to come in and take a look. They're here for you to look at and try on. As a full-service jewelry store, we offer hand engraving and laser engraving for just about anything you can imagine. So come on down to Brooks Fine Jewelry and visit with us. We look forward to seeing you.
Brooks Fine Jewelry, your jewelry makers in downtown Conway.
Welcome back to Here and There. This month we are revisiting some of our 2023 interviews of note. Stephanie Vanderslice was on the show in March. She is a creative writing professor at UCA and has written a new book called The Lost Son. I asked her where her love of words came from.
My mother, absolutely. My mother was a huge reader. I mean, the library was like a second home to me.
Okay.
And she read to me a lot. She really got me to love reading and love libraries. I actually am on the library board here, which is, a dream come true. I love it. Yeah, I get it from my mother. My dad was also he was a teacher and a speaker. So, but I get it from my mother, definitely. Just when you read and read and read and read the way she got me reading, you eventually, you think, I want to try this.
Yeah. And so you got into the writing aspect of it, then the teaching aspect of it. So I want to go there before we get to your book. Writing is a skill that is so important. I talk to my kids all the time.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Whether it's writing for a script like we do for this show or writing for whatever it might be. Creative writing, though, is that a different lane than just writing in general?
It's a little different, but I think you can use a lot of the skills, revising, you don't just write something in creative writing. You write it, you get feedback on it, you write it again, and you keep working on it till, but basically it's very similar.
Yeah.
I do a lot of other kinds of writing, and my creative writing background is great for that because I'm just very used to, okay, back to the drawing board, back to the draft, So
my background is spoken words. I was in radio for a long time and now I do this, but with my job here, I sometimes have to write. I write our press releases. And so Crystal Kemp, who is my boss and who you know, she is very quick to send back the press releases to me with lots of red lines and revisions. And so I understand.
Yes.
I learned now to not put that. I put the word that in so many sentences, and I don't need to do that.
All right, exactly.
I even said it.
Yeah, you learn it over time. These are things that you learn over time if you write a lot.
Yeah, it's a skill you have to practice just like any other. So writing led to The Lost Son, which is your novel that you're here to talk about. There it is. It's beautiful. You can get it on Amazon and other places, I'm sure.
Other places, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. What is it about?
It is about, it's actually based on a family story.
Okay.
That I learned in my 30s, and I absolutely, once I found it out, it kind of started to just take over my mind.
Yeah.
My great-grandmother was my step-great-grandmother, and I learned in my 30s. She was a German immigrant.
Okay.
She came over with her first husband. They had a child, and then for their second child, she had some health complications. This was in the 20s.
Okay.
And she had to have a nurse who came to the house. Well, interestingly, sometimes when we delve into our family stories, they're not always pleasant. Interestingly, the nurse and her first husband fell in love, took the baby at 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Back to Germany.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. So I didn't know a lot of details about this. And so she was actually my step-grandmother because my great-grandmother, my actual grandmother, died in her 30s. So I find this out, and what happened was she somehow survived. Honestly, because I had 2 young children at the time, I couldn't stop thinking, how did she do this? How did she survive losing her 6-week-old infant? So I thought about this a lot, and then what happened, it turned out she found my great-grandfather and married him in her 40s, right at the end of World War II.
Okay.
And I thought, wow, he must have been special for her to trust anyone again after what a betrayal, you know. So they got married, but then she discovered that she had a son fighting for the Allies and a son fighting, didn't want to be fighting, but was fighting for Germany.
Okay.
So it's really about that, how she tries to find her son many times over 20 years, but she's actually finds him because of the war and all of that.
Okay.
And it's really about her and how she survives and thrives and forgives. Learns to forgive.
So how did your family take to the idea of, here's a chapter of our story that we're going to put out there for the world?
Well, some of them are more happy about it than others. Some are like, I really wish she wasn't sharing that story. But most of them think it's a really interesting story, and they really want it to be shared. Yeah. So most of them, I think, like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where can you get it? I mentioned Amazon, but where else is a good place to
You
get
can get it at Amazon. You can get it at Regal House Publishing, which is the publisher. That's another great way to get it. You can get it on Barnes & Noble, anywhere online.
And you can get Stephanie's book at a lot of places, like she mentioned, may be a good gift idea for the reader on your list. Lanita Langley Ware, the executive director of the Faulkner County Museum, joined me in May to take us inside the museum and share a little history of the county that we call home.
So if you were to enter the Faulkner County Museum, which was built in 1896 to serve as the Faulkner County Jail, that's probably the first thing you would learn when you walk in the door, because people say, what was this building? And that's my cue to give them 127 years worth of history in 30 seconds or less. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I've spent a lot of time doing research on the building and learning about how it was built and the different lives that it has lived. Yeah. So I bring people in, I talk to them about what the building did, I illustrate to them about it serving as the Faulkner County Jail, and then how it went from being the Faulkner County Jail to the Faulkner County Library for over 65 years.
Okay, so it was the library before it became the museum. That was its last life. Mm-hmm. Is it in the same location that it's always been?
Yes.
Okay, so it hasn't been moved. It's always been right there.
No, the 1896 portion of the building is actually, it's kind of neat because it's about a 30 by 30 foot square building. The walls are 18 inches thick out of structural brick. So visualize like 3 courses wide of these bricks, so it's hard to move.
Yeah. Well, we've got a brick here. Tell me what this is all about.
Okay, so this brick is part of a fundraising effort that we're doing. We started in 2017, and we were looking at trying to do some preservation work on the Faulkner County Museum, and we needed to raise funds because, we never have enough money. So we started selling these bricks. These are $100, and we can we're putting them in the sidewalk in front of the museum. We have about 150 of them in there so far. And for every one of these, we raise $100, and that goes towards the electrical and the wiring and the new lighting system and stuff that's going on the inside. Okay.
Just kind of the upkeep of the museum itself.
Yes,
now, we've got one other thing here that may be difficult to see on our live cameras, but we're going to show a scanned picture of this. Mm-hmm. This is one of the older pieces that you have. So tell me about what we have here in front of us.
Okay, so what I have here is an 1821 land preemption claim document that is signed by, and I have no reason to believe it's not the original signature, signed by President James Monroe, and it was given to someone who was here in the county. The land is for, the document is actually for 160 acres in Township 13 North and Range 13 East. So that's here in Faulkner County. Actually,
Okay.
wait, I think it's 13 West. Anyway, it's for 160 acres, and it specifically states that it was for military service. So
Okay.
it's a preemption claim.
So this predates not only Faulkner as a county, but also Arkansas as a state. This was
Yes.
before we actually became a state.
Yes, correct. This was from when Arkansas became a county.
Okay.
Arkansas became a county, my goodness. Arkansas became a territory, and so then we didn't become a state until 1836. Yeah.
So, gosh, I just think that stuff's fascinating. That's so cool. I mean, look at it, yeah. And
Got a little seal.
what are some of the other things that people could see? Like, how, where did this come from? How did you get this? I've got so many questions. I'll try to calm down.
Yeah, we've been in business, shall
Yeah.
we say, for 31 years. Before that, the Faulkner County Historical Society maintained a collection. They started collecting items in around 1966.
Okay.
I believe this was originally part of the Faulkner County Historical Society collections. When the museum was created, they took their three-dimensional objects and they housed them at the museum. So I think that's how we got it. I have to be really honest, it hung in an exhibit for over 20 years before I saw it.
Okay.
Well, before I'd seen it, but I hadn't actually read it.
Okay.
And when I did read it, my heart stopped.
Yeah.
So I had to get it out of the frame and I had to do a little better for it. And right now we're waiting for some conservation treatment on it. Yeah.
So where do you get things? I mean, like if somebody's got an old barn on their property and they're going through boxes of stuff and they're like, well, this is kind of cool. Should they call you? I mean, how do you get artifacts? Okay.
Yeah, that's how we get them, actually. We rely upon the generosity and the interest of our patrons to say, we need to preserve this.
What about if they don't know necessarily the story behind a piece? Are you able to do research and try to figure out exactly what this might be, whatever this is that's brought to you? Or do I need, if I have the story, is that something I need to bring with me?
Oh, if you have the story, that just makes
Bring
it
it, yeah.
all that much more special. But typically, we set parameters for what we accept. It has to be related in some way to Faulkner County because our mission is to interpret and preserve Faulkner County history and prehistory. Now, having said that, maybe they've had this thing in the family for 50 years, but they don't know exactly where it came from.
Yeah.
That's where the Google is kind of nifty.
Okay.
And we've used Google several times to kind of flesh out some of the items that we have and maybe do research on the people who have donated them.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a combination of oral history and what documents we can find plus whatever stories that the families have.
So let's don't take it for granted that people know exactly where you are. So where are you? Let's tell people that.
Okay, our physical location is 801 Locust Street.
Okay.
In downtown Conway. I like to tell people we're nestled sort of snugly between the courthouse and the central fire station.
Yep.
We're in a 2-story red brick building. It's got a big sign on the front that says Faulkner County Museum.
Okay, can't miss it.
Can't miss it.
What are your hours? What's it cost to get in? All of that. Tell me the facts.
So admission is free.
Okay.
We take donations. We love donations. The bigger the better, but whatever, we take anything. We're open Monday through Thursday from 9 to 4. Okay. And I always tell people to call because when I'm off-site doing outreach or cool things like visiting with you,
Thank you.
There's nobody at the museum. And I don't like for people to waste a trip. So I always encourage people to call.
Okay.
And our phone number is 501-329-5918.
All right, very good.
Express yourself with beautiful custom jewelry from Brooks Fine Jewelry.
Come on down to Brooks Fine Jewelry and take a look at some of the new products that we offer. We have a new extensive line of men's watches, and we invite all those watch crazies out there that want to come in and take a look. They're here for you to look at and try on. As a full-service jewelry store, we offer hand engraving and laser engraving for just about anything you can imagine. So come on down to Brooks Fine Jewelry and visit with us. We look forward to seeing you.
Brooks Fine Jewelry, your jewelry makers in downtown Conway.
Our look back at a few of the 2023 interviews on Here and There continues now with Leslie Tell, family consumer science teacher from Conway High School. She actually joined us twice in 2023, and what you'll see is our second visit with her from our August episode. I started off by asking her to remind all of us why she went to Vietnam, which is what brought her to the show the first time.
I went to Vietnam as a distinguished Fulbright fellow,
Okay.
Short term, which is what is for high school high school teachers. And I was the first one in Arkansas to get this honor of going. And so I had school up through about the second week of April in Conway. And then I packed up and flew halfway around the world and started teaching a whole new group of kids until the first week of June.
High school age?
High school, yes.
Yeah.
They are 10th, 11th, 12th grade in a city called Cowlan, about 6.5, 7 hours south of Ho Chi Minh City. So pretty rural.
Yeah.
Definitely bigger than Conway, funny enough, but in a very rural setting.
So how much of what you saw was what you expected? I know that you had done some research, obviously, and you talked to people and looked at things. Nothing like you expected.
No, it was completely different. As much as I've traveled, I was not prepared for jumping into the deep end as much as I jumped in. Like I said, if I'd have been in a major city like Ho Chi Minh City or Da Nang or Hanoi, I think it would have been a little easier transition. But going to a rural city that had no Western influence really was quite different.
I wanted to show this photo, and we'll hold it up and show it, and then Wayne will be able to show it more digitally so you can see it a little closer. But this photo, explain what's going on here, because obviously there's some food being prepared, and so these are some students.
These are probably 10th grade students, and the school doesn't employ any sort of service staff, so there's no janitors or cafeteria workers or anything like that, lawn care. The students cook their own meals by house groups. So every grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, they had 5 houses per group. And this particular group was cooking for their whole group of 10th graders. So 10th graders cook for 10th grade, 11th grade cook for 11th grade, 12th grade for 12th grade. So they were cooking one day. They typically cook outside as well. And so they were just preparing lunch for their classmates that day. So not our normal cafeteria style food. There was a cafe that offered beverages and fruit and smoothies that a lady ran, but the bulk of the food preparation was handled by the students for each other, which is definitely not the way that we do it here.
Yeah, not at all, not at all. One more picture, then I want to talk about the other things that you brought. Let's talk about your transportation while you were there.
Well, there was no Honda CR-V for me. I was very fortunate to be given a scooter on loan from the school that they rented from someone. So the school did this at their own expense, which was very humbling to me. It was a Honda Cub 49cc motor scooter that was, you had a clutch. And so for about the first week, I practiced on the school campus. And then I was deemed roadworthy. And so I would drive from my little hotel to the school, and every day I would get a little more adventurous, and I would venture out. You always wear a helmet. That's the law there, and above 50 cc's you have to have a license and insurance. So below 50 you were kind of exempt. And so that was why mine was a pretty base model, because all the newer ones are much more powerful. So they had to kind of find me an old one. But it worked, and I got accustomed to it, and everybody in town got accustomed to me on my scooter with my white helmet. They knew I was definitely that teacher that was motoring by, especially when I'd get hung up at a light because I couldn't get shift gears fast enough. Or something, but they were very gracious with me, and I'd forget to put my kickstand up, and you would be motoring on, and people would motion like my kickstand was still down. So it was fine. I definitely wouldn't have done this in a major city like Ho Chi Minh City. It was I did take a motor scooter taxi, and it was just crazy in comparison to my city. So Cowlan had about 100,000 people, so it's not small.
No.
But Ho Chi Minh City has about 12 million, so very, very different pace of life. So it's a very slow pace of life in Cowlan versus a major city.
Let's talk about some of the other things that you've brought. Obviously, this seems to be some type of hat.
This is a traditional Vietnamese hat. You might have seen this in movies. They wear this. This was just their sun protection. So in the field, it is very hot there most of the year. It rains 2 or 3 hours during rainy season a day. And this is just their very traditional conical hat. I have another one, and I actually traded it in a village when I went mango picking for a Wampus Cat hat.
Really?
So I had a Wampus Cat baseball cap on, and the lady loved it, And so I liked her hat,
Yeah.
and we traded, and I have other pictures of that too.
Oh my goodness.
And so that was kind of my first hat. And then
Okay.
I decided all my baseball caps I took were going to be trades.
Yeah.
So every time there was something really interesting like that, I would offer a trade. I would give them a Wampus Cat hat for a Vietnamese souvenir.
I tell you what, well, if we see an uptick in our viewership this
Yeah.
fall in Vietnam of our Wampus Cat football games,
They
know
were
why.
amazed, the students were, at our sport facilities. Like, they couldn't just comprehend that we have buzz balding and our football field. They just thought it was like a professional league. And that made me so humble, thinking how blessed we are here with our facilities comparedly. Although my school was fabulous. It was roughly the same size as Conway High School. Just take all the third floor and make that dormitory.
Okay.
And it would be about the same size, about the same layout as our high school and courtyard.
What else? We've got something here that looks like a stuffed something or other.
Cowland is the capital of the mango and the lotus blossom. So we had the Baby Lotus Blossom Festival when I was there about the first week of May. And so everything was decked out about the lotus blossom. And I brought some lotus blossom tea to give you.
Oh, well,
and so
thank you.
that's just a very special thing for them. And then, of course, the mango. Mangoes were just literally everywhere.
Yeah.
You could just pick them anywhere and everywhere. You just eat them, and they're not Kroger mangoes. They are fresh and ripe, as were everything. Bananas on trees and papayas and everything.
So you're glad you went?
I'm so glad I went.
Yeah.
I'm glad I went. It definitely, as I'm pushing in here to the last lap around the teaching, track for me, it gave me, I think, the inspiration to finish strong as I go into the next 5 or 6 last years of teaching. And I think it makes me just so excited to see students learning everywhere, here and there, and that education is just such an important component of every community, whether it's Vietnam or Conway, Arkansas.
We appreciate Leslie for coming by twice this year and letting us see some of her journey. In September, we were joined by Matt Schrader, District Supervisor in charge of Lake Conway with the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. He came by to talk about the drawdown that began in early fall and a project that's planned to last the next few years. We began by visiting about the fact that Lake Conway is now 75 years old.
That's right. Yep. It's 75 years old. Things are starting to wear out. Things need to be replaced.
So when you get to the type of drawdown, which is what we're going to talk about, that is happening with Lake Conway, is it just because of time? Something of this scale?
Yes. And so typically we draw down a lake for 2 different reasons. One is a management drawdown, which is a much shorter time frame.
Yeah.
And then in the case of Lake Conway, a renovation, which requires a much longer time to accomplish bigger goals.
So it's a big project, been talked about for a long time. It is going to take a while till it's complete. We could probably spend hours talking about this, but we don't have the luxury of that time. So let's talk about maybe 3 big issues that we want to make sure we communicate with people. What would be those?
Right. So really there's 3 main components to this project. One is the infrastructure, updating infrastructure. 2 is related to habitat, so things that benefit the fish. And 3 is access areas, so things that benefit people.
Okay. So let's go through each of those then. Which, beginning with the infrastructure.
Right. So infrastructure, the big ticket item is the dam.
Okay.
The dam is 75 years old. It's got manually operated gates you have to manually put in fuses and do things. And it's just not super efficient compared to what technology is available now.
I was going to say anything that was created 75 years ago might need to be updated at this point.
Right, and so the benefits are, right now we have a 15 gated structure, which we have to go out there and manually operate. We're removing that and replacing it with a weir spillway, a labyrinth weir spillway, actually 2 of them. And this will allow us to maintain water levels a little bit better than we currently have. And another thing is we typically have to have a 1-foot winter drawdown to accommodate extra flood waters, and we'll be able to avoid that and keep the lake at normal pool year round.
So as people are watching this in September, the drawdown has began, but it's not at its full capacity drawdown? I mean, I don't know how to describe that, but help people understand, because I think people have seen the September 1st date.
Right, September 1st, we get to open 1, maybe 2 gates initially to start letting water out until water temperatures cool down enough. We don't want to put too many waters on the hardwoods down below and kill them, stress them out and kill them. And so we're going to do a minimal type drawdown until water temperatures cool off, maybe mid-November.
Okay. And so that's because of the heat. We've just had record heat for a while.
That's right. Water temperatures are in the 90s right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
So once it begins, at what point will someone driving on I-40 and just glance over and see a lake bed?
Hard to predict because Lake Conway has such a large watershed. Just a quick anecdote, back in a drawdown in the 90s, Lake Conway was fully drawn down, and we got about 7 inches of rain, and the lake filled completely back up with all the gates open. And so it just shows you, if we have one or a few gates open and we get a big rain, it could fill back up.
Okay.
So hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point then, do you have to, I mean, if depending on where you are in the project, would you have to start over?
No. So it's just, that's going to be one of the tricky aspects of this project, is being able to do work in a dry lake bed.
So Mother Nature really is kind of important to the project.
Huge. Oh yeah, and that's we say this project could take up to 5 years. That's one of the reasons why.
Okay. So infrastructure is one. What's the next component we want to cover?
So fish habitat, we're looking to, the easy one to talk about is the amount of brush piles. You know, increase the number of brush piles, fish structures for people to fish. One thing that we're really excited about is a process called soil consolidation, and that's why we think this project is going to take a while. Lake Conway has silted in heavily over the last 75 years, and we're hoping to take advantage of a process, soil consolidation, where you leave the sediments dried out long enough, you'll go from having 4 foot of sediment, it'll compact down to 2 foot.
Okay.
And so we're hoping to increase the depth of the lake.
Okay.
And so that's one of the main things. We're looking to do some excavating of areas, removing of sediment. We're also looking to maybe do some bank stabilization type projects as well.
There's an alligator out there.
I think there's more than one.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Breaking news sounder for that. Okay, so and people have asked, like, and I know the mayor was asked that, one of the first questions asked publicly. So what is the answer about that?
We hope that the alligator will follow its food source out Alarm Creek and out down to the river.
I would follow my food source.
If not, and if alligators become a problem, we have a way to relocate them.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, I know people are concerned about that.
Right.
And the alligator that's out there, or the more than one that may be out there. The other component, the third component that you want to make sure we cover?
Access areas.
Yes.
And so really the commission is looking to use Lake Conway as an example of what can be done at access areas. And I've seen some of the ambitious plans really talking about improving the amenities. That's one of the big things, making piers much, much larger, much easier to get to, deeper water to fish. And then along the same line is the boat trail system. Lake Conway has 23 miles of boat trails, and about 3 years ago we tried to remove the stumps and remark about 4 miles of it, and it became a much bigger project than we anticipated, much easier to be done in the dry, and so we're really going to improve the boat trails as well.
In essence, you're hitting reset.
Exactly.
It's a clean slate. It's a reset.
It is.
That will cause a little bit of delay in people using the lake like they would want to. But is this another 75 years? Is that the hope before you have to see another project like this?
We hope. Yep.
Okay.
And so with a drawdown, it does exactly like you said. It resets the clock, and that's for the fish. It makes the system more productive again. It's like restarting the clock. Fish growth is exponentially higher.
Yeah.
It's a really good thing in the long run.
So, so the project will begin. It has begun at this point. What can people? Where can they get information? Is there a way to watch progress of it, other than just what we'll see when we drive by or near the lake?
Right. So the Game and Fish has a link on the website, agfc.com, where you can get updates on the Lake Conway renovation. And then there's also a website newlakeconway.com
Okay.
that I believe the Chamber of Commerce set up.
Yes.
It's also providing updates.
Okay, very good.
Express yourself with beautiful custom jewelry from Brooks Fine Jewelry.
Come on down to Brooks Fine Jewelry and take a look at some of the new products that we offer. We have a new extensive line of men's watches, and we invite all those watch crazies out there that want to come in and take a look. They're here for you to look at and try on. As a full-service jewelry store, we offer hand engraving and laser engraving for just about anything you can imagine. So come on down to Brooks Fine Jewelry and visit with us. We look forward to seeing you.
Brooks Fine Jewelry, your jewelry makers in downtown Conway.
Welcome back to our look back at Here and There from 2023. In September, we were all introduced to a bundle of energy and creativity, Joy White Casanova, an interior designer who helped us transition from summer to fall in our homes.
Well, I know it's a little confusing right now because the weather is insane and it's just really got us all shook up. But it's a nice, easy way to transition from summer to fall by simple things, just like buying conversational pieces like an area rug, lighting fixtures that you think are cool, and just, you know, unique pieces of art or a unique mirror. You can even paint a focal wall and just really update your space by changing the color of your space. But for this particular color story, we're focusing on like carrots and yellows and really rich Bordeauxs, and it's very simple. You can do fun things like, you know, bring in a pillable wallpaper, buy like a really fantastic accent chair, and it's always cool to bring in some florals that'll really help you navigate your way out of summer into the fall. But simplistic, unique elements can change the space with ease. So I would just start kind of like light, and then layer in some fun things.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask my first question,
Yes.
which is, you said peelable wallpaper?
Yes.
What on earth?
Oh my gosh, it's the best thing.
Okay, I don't know about this.
It's the best thing, and you can get it everywhere. You can get it at Amazon, you can get it at Home Goods, you can get it at Walmart, Target, and there's so many unique designs. But basically, if you have yourself a plain wall and you want something fun and you know, funky to make it hip and cool or updated in some way, you can get yourself some peelable wallpaper, and it doesn't last long if you don't want it to. It comes off, it installs with ease, it comes off with ease. This is actually an example of that. And then, you know, just kind of find yourself a really unique wall, add your peelable wallpaper, it could change the entire dynamic of the space.
So how long does something like that take? Because here's what I'm thinking. I could surprise my wife with a peelable wallpaper wall. Can I do it in the morning? I mean, can I do it?
Yes,
okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
I mean,
I do it in the morning?
You can do
Okay.
it. It's super, super easy.
Okay.
It depends on how big your wall is.
All right, well,
I actually added peelable wallpaper to my entire dining room.
Okay.
And that's 4 walls. So it does take some time, and it does take, you know, buying a few rolls of it. But if you just have like a really cool wall that's the backdrop of your dining space, yeah, you could do it. You can do it in a couple of hours.
Okay, and also just colors. There are colors that are going to be traditional fall colors. Anything different, like for 2023? I mean, are we still looking at what would be? I know you've got some. I'm colorblind,
No,
but
you're
I
not.
can read. So carrot cake. I say I can read Bordeaux, ancient copper, cinnamon crunch,
yes.
butterscotch bliss. These are kind of the. Is this the palette that you want to stick
This
in?
is the palette that I've created for this particular color story. But
Oh.
listen, fall is all about what makes you happy and what makes you feel cozy and comfortable. What do we love about fall? Layering in pieces, layering elements. So you don't have to stick to one color. You pick what makes you happy. This particular color story was inspired, of course, by pumpkins, fall, leaves, that sort of thing. And if you notice here, we have different versions of these colors. We're not just matchy-matchy, right? We're adding elements of dimension with some of the green there, and even with the glassware there. And then we also can add some gold hardware that'll really give you a nice foundation.
So let's talk about if you're on a budget.
Yes.
Everybody's trying to be smart financially.
Yes.
What are some hacks possibly that people could do?
Absolutely good. That's a great question. For me, my favorite hack, okay, is shopping the year before. So as soon as fall is over and you're navigating the way into Christmas or you're navigating into the new year, everything goes to clearance, right? And very little changes about the season. So why not shop and buy everything then?
Yeah.
You know, and just get yourself a nice tote and store it away. That's my favorite thing to do. But another thing that you can always do is just be mindful of where you shop. You can always find some fun things at Dollar Tree, fun things at Home Goods, which to me, the absolute best Home Goods in Arkansas is in Conway. I mean, that's just my opinion. And Target, Walmart, you know, those are some of the, you know, most cost budget friendly places to shop.
And it's, I would think, and I'm speaking again as a husband, it's fun when we save money and we still have nice new things.
Yes.
And so that's got to be part of the fun of it.
Yeah.
What if you don't really have that creative design and it's, I want it, I know it when I see it, but I don't know how to get there? How can you help with that?
Another good question. I always say walk into a store, absolutely no thoughts, just walking into a store just for fun, just kind of shopping around, window shopping, and just kind of draw in some inspiration. Draw in what you think makes you happy. Find what connects to you. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Walk into the store and just see what you like. That to me is the very first step. And then after that, you know, create a nice shopping list for yourself. I always say create a compilation or a casual mood board to kind of help you get an idea of what you like or what you'd like to see in your space. So from there, create your shopping list and then make it a day about shopping after you've seen what you like and what makes you feel good, what makes you feel happy, and get right to it.
Because ultimately, you have to be the one happy with it.
Yes.
I mean, you're the one living there.
Yes, absolutely.
I know you've got a second board here. Let's
Yes.
take a look at that. So I'm going to remove this one for you and let you put that other one up. And we will take a look at this one. Would you like me to go over the color palette on this one? I've got black, coconut, a color called Patches, Afternoon Tea, and Stonehenge something.
So one of the reasons why I chose this color story is because it's not as traditional as what we would normally see, right?
Okay.
We always see these oranges and we see these golds and things like that, but I also think that this color palette feels very neutral with elements of layers, right? So we have all these unique textures and these fun grays and creams, and some people don't want all that orange, you know, especially for like your bedroom or your dining space. Maybe you want something a bit more muted, and so this allows you to see some elements of neutral tones, some cozier, warm ebony and black, and I think this is also very fall.
This is the one I would like. I really, this is great. This is great. And so does the piece that's here on our table, does that work with this?
Absolutely. So this entire arrangement cost me about $20.
Nice.
And you can make it on your own, or you could go into Hobby Lobby or Walmart or Home Goods and buy something like this. But this pumpkin cost me like $10. I got it from the Home Goods.
Okay.
And I just layered in some fun florals that I actually got from the Dollar Tree.
Nice.
So this color palette, this arrangement ties very much into this color story, this mood board. All of the magnolia you see here came out of my front yard, so you can totally draw some inspiration from your environment and your home. And all of these pieces here, I mean, like the lamp is from Target, the chair is textured and cool, and this will probably be that accent piece that you want to spend a little bit more money on. This bedding here, again, from Target. And then all of these fun pieces here, you just kind of, again, draw yourself into what makes you happy and what you like.
So we need to have you back sometime. We'll just do a whole segment on pillows.
Sure.
Because clearly that looks a lot like our bed, and I thought it was just us.
No.
But apparently it's not.
No, you wake up happy, I bet.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the dogs wake us up happy every morning. Joy was great, and even though we were focused on the move from summer to fall, there were definitely some great ideas that you can use year-round. Now, our last look back was from just a month ago. It was local artist Fay Hadera that was on the show to tell us the story behind the 100 Faces of Conway project that she presented earlier in the year. And also to announce her next project, one that we're excited about. It's a show on Conway Corp called Meet the Conwayians. I asked her how the 100 Faces project was born.
So in January of this year, I got the inspiration to paint 100 people that lived in Conway, and this was because I moved from South Florida and didn't really know anybody in the community. So I didn't know very many people, and I asked for community members to nominate each other to be painted by me as a gift to the community and as a fundraiser for Haven Conway. And man, it really helped me get to know everybody and fall in love with Conway for sure.
Well, it is the people that make this place special. Conway Corp has been here for almost 100 years, and so we definitely understand the importance of that and of community. As people would come to you, what What surprised you? What surprised you about Conway that maybe was different than other places that you've lived in the past?
The sheer amount of talent and kindness and intelligence in Conway was very surprising. I really had no anticipation of what would be here, and to find that out was very reassuring for me, because I would like to make this my home for a long time.
It would be disappointing if you wanted 100 faces and you got about 17.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah, good. And so not only did you get 100, you got a lot more than that you could have done, which is how this has come about.
Yes.
So Meet the Conwayans. Tell us what that is going to look like in your eyes.
Yes, so Meet the Conwayans is kind of a continuation of the 100 Faces of Conway project, but essentially it's going to allow me to focus more on one person. I'm going to do a little bit more detail in their portraits. They're going to be larger, and we get to kind of dive into their life here in Conway. So it's going to be able to give me the chance to get to know them better on a deeper level. So I'm really excited about that.
And what we're excited about is that we'll be able to capture all of that. So these Conwayans, I started to say Arkansans, they are Arkansans, but they're more importantly, they're Conwayans in our world. But you'll get a chance to get to know them better too, because not only will you see the process of the painting being done, but you'll also see how Fay gets to know them. And so the interviews that she will do with them, and also with the people who nominate them. And so that leads us to our next thing, which is how we're going to nominate folks. And so that's going to be done through your website.
Yes.
And so let people know how they can actually nominate people.
Yes, so if you go to fayhadera.com, there's going to be a tab that says Meet the Conwayans. You'll click on that, and you just fill out a form, and it'll say why you're wanting to nominate this person. So it's an opportunity for you to say some kind and loving words about each person. And another element of this that I'm so excited about is that the portraits are going to be you, but they're going to be you holding something that brings you joy. So this can be anything. This can be a fishing rod. This can be a book. You just can use your imagination. So if you're chosen, I'll get with you and we'll plan that out, and I think we'll have a lot of fun together.
So when we come back, we will meet our first recipient of Meet the Conwayans. It will be this portrait here. We will reveal it to the recipient, which is someone who you know if you paid attention to Conway Corp and paid attention to Conway. She's been a member of this community for a very long time and a very integral part of a lot of our lives. She is my boss. She's our Chief Marketing Officer, Crystal Kemp. She will see her portrait next on Here and There. Welcome back to Here and There. I'm Jeff, that's Fay, and with us now is Crystal Kemp. Crystal is the Chief Marketing Officer here at Conway Corp. And when we started talking about Meet the Conwayans, Fay had the idea of let's reveal someone, let's paint someone to get an idea of what the show is going to be like. So what you're about to watch is a mini version of what Meet the Conwayans will be. Fay and Crystal had a chance a couple of weeks ago to meet and kind of talk through what brings her joy, and so I'll let you ask her about that when she sees what she's holding, which, okay, are you ready? Are you ready? That's really the question. We've seen it. So, okay, so what we're going to do, let's pull this front piece up and reveal the painting, and then we'll talk to Crystal about it. All right.
Oh, look at it. It's beautiful. Oh.
It really turned out good, didn't it?
She's so cute.
So if you can't tell, sadness is what brings Crystal joy. Why is that? So Fay.
Tell me why you chose this awesome little figurine.
I know. Well, so it's like layered as I thought about it. So Sadness is from the movie Inside Out. It's a Pixar Disney movie, and it just resonated with me so much all those years ago when I saw it, that we can't have joy without sadness. I mean, sadness, they're connected, they're intertwined. We don't know what joy is unless we start to understand and embrace that sadness. And so I think about it all the time. And so I actually took my team from work to see the movie in the theaters, and we took notes, and we, you know, who's at master control, and when we look and we interact with other people, I love pouring into people, I love being with people. To know all those different parts of them and embrace that's where my joy comes from.
Thank you for watching Here and There all year long, and we look forward to telling you great stories in 2024. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas from all of us at Conway Corp.